What's good, YouTube? And welcome to the house. A couple of things before we get into today's market watch. First off, a lot of you guys noticed that the last video went down. That was for no other reason than audio issues. For some reason, when I go full screen, the Logitech Brio doesn't have a lot of drivers. It could be that, it could be my recording software, but I'm going to be looking into changing some things up with my setup, improving the quality for you guys, maybe taking on some more edited videos this year. I have a lot of goals, and speaking of goals, I also plan to get a lot healthier this year. I plan to lose 40 pounds again. I plan to take that gradual journey, probably about 6 months to do so. I'm not in a rush or a race to do it. I want to do it healthily, and the whole reason for doing so, I don't want to pressure anyone else to take that journey unless you want to. I'm doing it so I can live a longer life with my wife. That's what I want to do. It's what I want, and the looks are a bonus. I do feel a lot better than when I was 300 pounds. Currently, I'm around 260. I plan to get down in the 220s, lower than my college weight when I had a six-pack, and I'm gonna get it, and I'm putting it out there right here. That being said, the best investment you can make is in yourself, but let's talk about today's market watch, starting with access code talker going back up into the 80s, and it's been there for a couple of days now. This is an absurd, amazing card. You could have got it for 30 on pre-sales, 50s later, and then it's just continuously gone up since. Yes, its reprint clock is ticking, but the first set in line for reprints is Ignition Assault, so it goes from the past skip to something like this. Maybe, but I think you're looking at Battles of Legend or Megatons, and Megatons are far, far off. So versus the time you can actually get to use this, a lot of people are asking, should I get this to play an X remote duel or Y? Yes, because you will still have time not only to play with it, but then also to sell it. Think about when a reprint announcement could be. Ghost from the Past is the earliest for sure, but it's more likely a Battles of Legend if they plan to improve Battles of Legend, or Megaton or Gold Series card for this year. I need to stop saying next year. This year, 2021. Also, Rise of the Duelist has a ton of things going on with it. Triple Tactic Talents bouncing back up above 100 again. It had dipped just under, and now it's over. And Forbidden Droplet over that $100 mark. It's kind of funny how these two cards are still vying for that top slot. Over in Rise, Ice Dragon's Prison had dipped around 37 and it's back towards 40, really showing it's more stable around this price than fluctuating and likely to go down and be 30 again. It's a great trap card. I've been testing with it, and it just comes in clutch so often, and it's so freaking awesome. And it's always fun to beat people with their own monsters, isn't it? And then the Dear Servant around that $90 price point. Rise, we need the reprints of this so bad, but you know Konami's going to cash in. The question is where and when, and again, I think that's later down the line in the year. And if you have remote duels to play, and you have those huge prizes like giant cards and other things to play for, or you're consistently making money off of the tournaments you're playing in, you're really good at Yu-Gi-Oh, or you just want to get good, kid, you're investing for those remote duels, and you do have to consider, okay, when will I get rid of these decks or cards versus when do I think a reprint announcement will be? Don't get caught hanging on with that lost value. Plunder Patrols, I think, are the obvious kind of thing to look at today. They're up a couple dollars on the Ultras that were shorter printed. They got an amazing piece of support, so much so that I saw actually on Facebook, Jeff Jones was like, this card's absurd. So I do think that it's amazing for the deck. It does fix a lot of their issues. So many people are excited. Will it bust into the metagame with just that one card? Not sure about that one, but it is really incredible. I still think this deck needs the other attributes for the extra. There is another ship, apparently, within that picture that is new. I saw Mono Bluetron tweet that one as well. Blade excited. So many people excited. And I do like this deck as a rogue deck, but you need more extra deck monsters or something going on. Wind and Earth. Give them Landlubber. Come on, Konami, do it. But yeah, that was an amazing card, and you do see an immediate reaction of people starting to get the harder to get ones, and the rest of it's still really cheap if you're thinking about it, because hype does come full circle. When that card's going to be released in the TCG, you could see a resurgence of people going for this, so might be prudent to get it sooner than later, using that TCG player link in the description down below, costing you nothing extra to support the channel directly for the cards you'd already be buying if you are interested. Now, the Cursed Elven has had the revolving crazy buyouts. It just can't seem to get any traction in terms of quantities. If you have these, and maybe even bulk because you went after Adamanticators in the past, these are $40 now. That's worth some diving through your cards to see if you have one. And the Golden Lords are also up towards 50 for the secret rares. All I've got to say with that is consider getting your gold rares. They've been pretty stable around $7, but if you notice, a lot of the lowest listings now all have only 1 to 2. Here's finally a playset at $7.50, and then a huge listing around here. I could see these copies starting to go whenever people are grabbing this card. They're grabbing 3 of them. There's not a crazy amount, like that's a lot of sellers, but when it comes down to it versus the demand this card used to have and the price point, I could see this being 10, 12, $15 down the road, and especially with like an announcement of Yu-Gi-Oh coming back, if this engine isn't getting hit at all, the kind of like the Invoked engine, right? Oh, it's getting splashed over here, it's getting splashed over there, it's doing something, but it's not completely taking over. I could definitely see this over time just increasing. Remember those, you know, really cheap invocations? Yeah, I remember. Kind of a little bit of deja vu, especially if we start to see the other pieces reprinted, and then extra access to everybody, and then, oh yeah, now I'm gonna go ahead and pick up Golden Lords. Just some food for thought. Line of the Light Charmer, so there is apparently a reason this was bought out originally. We saw a higher price on it before, so apparently people are equipping this with Union Hanger, then using Familiar Possessed Lina to special summon by sending it, because it can be face up, if you, like, if by sending one that you control, and then a light monster, and then you can search Pendulum, Servant of Endymion. This is kind of crazy to me. I think it's a bit of a stretch, but apparently that's part of the reason for it. I think it's more so Charmer Structured X came out. We saw this go to 8, and now people are trying to come up with this big brain table 500 IQ combo. I wouldn't be investing in it at all, but Pendulum, yeah, that does sell things sometimes. Underworld Fighter Balmung for the super rares is around $10. This got bought out before, and I was like, what is happening? And then it still stayed up there, so I asked my Discord what's going on, and the best answer I have is FTK shenanigans. So again, I don't think it's something that's prudent or out there that's taking over currently, but you can see 1 tuner, plus 1 or more non-tuners. It's a level 4, so it's easy to sink into with low levels. When this card is destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can target a level 4 monster in your graveyard, except this card, special summon it. That is not a hard once per turn or once per turn at all, so you're able to probably find ways to continue to loop things with this. It has to be specifically destroyed, but yeah, I guess there's some wheels turning there as well, and actual money being spent on it. The rare doesn't have the most quantities in the world and is the only other copy if you just want to have one in your back pocket for cheap. Predaplant Verite Anaconda is up a couple of bucks further than when we last saw it, towards 33, 34. Now, I'm just seeing Dragoon summoned a lot more this format. We went from him being kind of a butt of a joke to, this guy was supposed to do something, to, oh, he's doing something, and a lot of people summoning him all of a sudden. And you also see Celine here. I hadn't checked in on her in a while. She was 7 to 8, I think, last I looked. She's towards 11, so some nice increasing value in dual overload. And Union Carrier with the talks earlier, I just want to say, this is one of the best cards in terms of Yu-Gi-Oh! Card creation. We now see it working with Drytron, and then you see it working with niche combos, spiking other things in the market. This is a card I would just continue to have my eye on. I know I've been a huge fan in terms of saying that it'll probably go up over time, and then you saw Buster get banned. This went down towards $6-ish. I actually forgot about that for a bit. So this is back up by almost 33%, but I do think that Union Carrier, over time, it's just going to find use in more and more decks. It's so crazy by card design how good this card is, and I like it a lot. Also, Relinquished Anima almost out of listings, towards $8, so if you have that, I don't know, is it a time to keep on to it? Is it time to sell it? It is seeing a lot more play, and I do like the card, and people sometimes don't play around the zones. That's something else to maybe think about, where you're putting things into zones. And finally, Skill Drain the Lost Art. We've been kind of keeping an eye on this, and its quantities are almost gone. The price isn't that crazy, but you can see a huge jump is coming should these motivated sellers disappear / have their copies sold. So and then there's Yu-Gi-Oh! Black Market. Hey, the boys in the middle. See, they know how to judge something, right? This is actually, I want to give this a lesson, a good kind of I buy a vendor. They go in, they see, oh, okay, there's these copies. They put in the middle of, okay, if you're going to buy it out, or we have the final copies, while they are Italian, they're a little less desired in terms of modern day Yu-Gi-Oh! Things. Well, you're probably going to buy these if these disappear, and that's a way to make a sale. I like the mindset there. That was a pretty good play. But with this, I do think there's potential for it to eventually catch the old Turbo Pack Ultra, and here's my thinking behind that. Lost Art has a lot of eyes on it. People continuing to revolve around discussions of Dark Magician Girl is probably one of the best investments of all time. Oh my gosh, yeah! And people are really gung-ho about that. Then they start to look around, Foolish Burial, and you have other good cards in here. Skill Drain's among the top of that conversation, and it's at a reasonable price still. I could see it eventually catching its Ultra predecessor, but that's another story for another day when we look at past things like that that aren't ultimate rare that people pay attention to. It is the second highest, if not the highest rarity, though. You could argue for it, but there are probably a whole heck of a lot more of these floating around right now than these because of how stores got them. Either way, I do think that this is probably on the up just because of the legacy this card has, and probably the ability to float back into metagames as we saw with True Draco. Thank you for watching today's Market Watch. What do you guys think when we talk market theory like this? Like, how do you feel this card's direction will go? And actually the whole Lost Art promotion, I do find it super interesting that Konami found that sweet middle ground to help stores out and get them sales and get people in there. It's been really incredible, but you see a lot of the buyouts kind of just fail or flounder versus the quantities like the Exodia pieces. Then you see ones like the Dark Magician Girl actually hold, the Monster Reborn actually hold. It is, the quantities have to be absurd, but we'll have to see how it plays out in the future versus those stores who kept their pile and then sell it later and all the corruption there. Yeah, we're going to call that out too. It'll be interesting to see their price history and what happens in the future. Thanks for watching today's Market Watch. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the conversation. And let me know what you think. I really do love hearing back from you guys. And see you all on stream tonight. Thank you for an amazing stream on Friday. Today will probably be free viewer battles all day as a thank you guys for that one.